Welcome to Traveling Adventures, your quest for love. This show is for singles searching for the perfect lifelong partner. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and let us go ahead and begin, shall we? Alright, so this show, as I said, is for singles, but it's also for people struggling and failing relationships. I just have to add that in there. Because life is what you make it. There's an entire world out there, and that's what this show is all about. You don't have to formulate a toxic opinion on all men or all women. This show is about expanding your horizons, literally. An entire world to explore. Don't hang up your love hat so early in life, and don't think that it's too late to achieve that happiness with a lifelong partner by your side. So with that said, we're going to digitally travel to the exotic, and I do mean exotic, country of Mongolia. Now you might be thinking, yeah, right, I'm not going to go to Mongolia. Where is that? Well, it's a pretty big country, and for many men out there, for instance, and women, who complain all the time about men and women have lost their ways, there's no more traditional love. Well, guess what? Mongolia is full of traditional love, and I mean, it's almost like taking a time machine back to the past. Now, they are modernizing, but it's going to take until maybe about 2040, the year, to really be a sizable comparison to the rest of the fully modernized, otherwise world, right? But with that said, it's a special country to go over because it's almost like a blast from the past. They do maintain their traditional culture, lots of respect. You don't have to have an arranged marriage. It's not like that. I know you guys might be thinking Genghis Khan and a bunch of tents. Yes, a lot of them do live in tents, but it's not going to be a geography or history lesson, okay? We're only going to go over the modern, not necessarily traditional Mongolian people, okay? Or maybe a blend of the two. That's most likely. So first of all, we're going to go over the good men and women of Mongolia. All right. In case you're new to the show, we always go over the good first, and we'll actually go over the toxic, the bad. So, yes, just a heads up for anybody new to the show. All right. So, Mongolian women. She'll get you home in a blizzard by flagging down a nomad on horseback. Crisis is a minor errand to her. Okay, so a problem solver. A lot of bravery there, right? She'll make it happen. Her proposal is handing you fermented mare's milk and saying, "My father says you can handle the winter. Stay." Okay. So as we already know, we expect with a highly cultured country, traditional country, they're going to be very family oriented. But this is all working in your favor, not against you. She'll butcher a sheep, then an hour later be in a silk dress, pouring vodka. Oh, great. Well, you know, they are bordered with Russia, so vodka is inevitable, isn't it? Toughness and elegance are the same thing to her. Alright, so it sounds pretty straightforward, okay? I mean, look at that. Butchering a sheep, and then the next moment she's in a silk dress, ready to get down and dirty with you. That's kind of, I don't know, if that floats your boat. Very direct. A lot of people are like that, you know, easy to shift gears really quickly. In bed, she's fierce and vocal. Sex is a vital physical act of life, uncomplicated and powerful. As it should be. Alright, so there you go. Kind of that warrior spirit seeping into the Mongolian women there. And when I say warrior, I really do mean warrior. It's in their blood, for crying out loud. You know, they can live off the land. That's a good thing. Her loyalty is her family as cavalry. So the cavalry, if you need backup, for instance, her brothers just show up. No words needed. Alright, so she has her bouncers. Her brothers. You know, family members, right? So that's where the family can work on in a good way. If you guys encounter a problem, I'm not promoting violence, but it's a different culture. What can I say? It's similar. You gotta have some backup. She can sit with you in silence for hours, just watching the horizon. Her presence is peace. Well, that's very romantic, isn't it? She'll sell family heirlooms to solve your debt, saying, fix it. Family is more important than old metal. Yes, you guys, sometimes you have to make sacrifices in order to solve problems, as it was mentioned in number 1. She handles a harasser with a silent wrist lock. There's that warrior spirit. Then hands him a drink. Her defense is quiet and lethal. All right. So kind of like a ninja assassin we got going on here. She remembers every horse her family ever owned and every migration route. Her memory is a map of a lost world. All right, so good memory, right? You want a smart partner. They don't have to be college smart or book smart, but intelligent, right? To a certain extent. You don't have to have necessarily a genius by your side, but it really does help for solving problems. She doesn't say I love you. She says your tea is ready, or I saddled the stronger horse for you. All right, so it's very passionate here. Lots of culture going on. So it's an exciting thing to get to know. For instance, if you're just fed up with the Western world and you have very bad luck, you might want to get away from it all, like literally get away from it all and try out a country like Mongolia. You got to get to know your world. You were born in this world. It's your world as much as it is my world. You can't just hang up your hat and say, well, all women are bad. Maybe a Mongolian woman is exactly who you need for you men out there. If you don't take the risk, you'll never find out, will you? All right, so the Mongolian men, what makes them so special? He'll dig your Jeep out of the mud for 2 hours. That's a long time. Then grin and say, the earth didn't win. All right, so they are men and women of the land, okay? That's putting it very lightly. All right, so his gift is the blue silk ribbon he won in a wrestling match, placed around your neck while he's still sweaty. Well, like I said before, they're warriors, okay? So if you're into that sort of thing, in the bedroom and out of the bedroom, hey, men and women have at it. In the city, he's in a suit. At the winter camp, he's wrestling calves. There's no separation. Well, I like it. It's similar to, as for myself as a martial artist for over 30 years. Yeah, doesn't matter if you wear the uniform or you wear the suit. You're always a warrior at heart. In bed, he's a focused doer, not a talker. It's physical, straightforward, and powerfully attentive. Yeah, it looks like they're both on the same page there, although it says that she's vocal in comparison. But that's kind of more like the gender roles there. That's normally how it happens anyhow. Hey, two warriors making sweet love. What can I say? Very beautiful here. His word is stone. He promised to get your friend from the airport, so he went on horseback through a dust storm. All right. Got a real warrior here. Bravery. And you have to have bravery for this next one. In below 30-degree weather with no power, he'll say, we have fuel, meat, and each other. This is fine. All right. No drama. Pretty straightforward. Lots of courage. Who wouldn't like that in a partner? He can smell a storm coming hours away. His knowledge of the land is written in his bones, as we said before. Men and women of the land. After 3 shots of vodka, okay, so the men are also doing some vodka. The stoic man sings ancient folk songs with a voice that cracks with emotion. All right, so they're passionate. I wish they would do without the vodka, but to each their own. What can I say? He provides silently and preemptively a better apartment, a reliable car, before you even ask. All right, so responsibility, always key. His love is absolute physical guardianship. The heaviest coat on you. Checking locks twice. All right, so he's your bodyguard. He's your protector. Beautiful start for the Mongolian women and men. Pretty powerful. Pretty nature-based. Free, exotic. If you men and women out there are tired of the fast-paced Western world that is currently lacking a lot of tradition, a lot of honor. These are the ideal candidates if you're going to think about heading over to Mongolia. But with that said, I'm very intrigued to find out, as always on this show, about the bad men and women of Mongolia. What makes the Mongolians bad? What are their toxic traits? As always on this show, we always have to go over them. It's called being realistic. So, special ice cold disclaimer, as always, the following does not apply to all men and women of Mongolia. You've been warned, okay? In an ideal world, we don't want anything negative, but you have to be prepared and see what they say about Mongolian people, according to what kind of toxic traits they may or may not have. The red flags. Let's go over the Mongolian women with their red flags. Her brother's motorbike came from your savings. He is my blood, she says, is the only explanation you get. Okay, so this is the toxic side of that family that we covered earlier. It could work for you or against you. If she's upset, she'll go silent for days. All right, so the silent treatment. Cooking and sleeping next to you without a sound or a glance. All right, so this is pretty intense. I don't like this. It's really scary, creepy behavior. All right? I mean, we have knives in the kitchen. Use your imagination. You don't want a borderline psycho by your side. These types of problems need to be fixed, like, as soon as possible. Okay? Huge red flag right here. I mean, because it says if she's upset. A silent person who's upset is a dangerous person. Because you don't know what's on their mind, how they're feeling at the moment. Danger zone. After kids, the adventurous woman vanishes. You become the father provider, a visitor who brings supplies. All right, so pretty much a utility, an asset. You're grieving, she'll say, tears don't bring them back. We need more firewood. All right, that's pretty brutal. You don't want somebody who doesn't know how to empathize with you, right? That is mighty, mighty brutal. That's like no heart whatsoever. She'll sell your livestock and inform you after, I handled it, she says. You're not a partner, you're management. Another brutal one. She can vanish on a 3-day vodka bender. Well, there we go with the vodka. With her cousins. I'm Mongolian. This is what we do. Okay, so similar to Russia, as we went over before. Seems to be they got a vodka problem. If it goes toxic. They also like to use vodka when things are going good to celebrate. Or to just relax. I'm not a fan of that. I think alcohol is a crutch. I think it's a sign of weakness. It's a statement of weakness. And that's pretty much it. What's ours is hers and her family's. What's yours is also potentially theirs. Privacy doesn't exist. We've seen this before with other powerful cultures. This is once again the toxic family that could come creeping up behind you. Okay? She communicates in grunts and sighs. You should have known I was angry from how I poured the milk. All right, that's not cool, okay? Nobody should be a mind reader. In a fight, she'll go for the kill shot. No wonder your own father left. Then she'll go back to sewing. Pretty cruel. Pretty heartless. Yeah, that is a kill shot. Very, very stone cold. If you show weakness, she detaches. Her loyalty is conditional on your strength. Well, I agree, because silence is weakness. Although here it's being used in a toxic sense. That's why weakness is also a form of toxicity to yourself and to others who have to withstand your silence. But here, detaching and saying that her loyalty is conditional on your strength, well, yes, this could be toxic because strength is always favorable. It's always needed. But when it's the only thing cared for, meaning that, she's saying, well, boo-hoo, you can cry all you want, but you got to go get more firewood. It's just as brutal as that point. Let's go ahead and shift gears to the toxic Mongolian men. You say you feel lonely. He stares and says, "But you're not alone. I'm here." Then goes back to fixing his saddle. Okay, this is like a guy a few words. Not good. Okay? That's not enough good communication. Communication is at the center of the relationship. It's a form of respect. No respect here. All right, so once again with the alcohol. The vodka turns the proud man into a slurry, sentimental child. You lose your partner for days at a time. Yeah, so you see how alcohol can be extremely dangerous and highly destructive? Exactly. A perfect day for grazing will always trump your anniversary. Well, that's not really nice, right? You're competing with the horizon and you lose. Okay, that's pretty brutal. I mean, your anniversary is supposed to be important. It's supposed to actually trump. I mean, unless you're in a situation where it's absolutely necessary. I wouldn't know. I'm not Mongolian. But your love should come first, always. That's all I'm going to say about that one. All right, let's go ahead and continue here. You make more money? He'll blow his salary on a reckless deal just to prove he's still the top earner. Wow. That's kind of bad. I mean, just because you earn more money. Wow. Yeah, that's quite disrespectful. What can I say? That's actually a form of financial abuse. It really is. The man who can build a fence in a snowstorm will stand helplessly in front of a washing machine. Okay, so not willing to learn new things, as simple as using a washing machine. That's kind of brutal. That's pretty brutal. I mean, they do live on the land, a lot of them, so probably most of them. They are modernizing, but it's going to take a long time. You talk about your dreams and get a shrug and a grunt in return. Emotional intimacy is shouting into a well. All right, so stone cold. As we were mentioning before, with the toxic Mongolian women, the toxic Mongolian men are very similar. They could be similar, okay? They're not listening to you. They hear you, but they're not listening. He'll say he'll be home at 6 and roll in at midnight. I was talking is his only explanation. Okay, who were you talking to? There seems to be a major malfunction with communication here. Mostly is what I'm getting. When it comes to substance abuse with the vodka, the alcohol, and this man of few words, woman of few words nonsense, this weakness here, you should be reading my mind type mentality. It's pretty bad. But remember, these are the extremely toxic Mongolians here, okay? Maybe they're a hybrid of the good and bad. I don't advise you go for hybrids, especially when they're big red flags like these. All right? It doesn't look right, he says about your male friends, framing his jealousy as concern for your reputation. Well, I mean, it doesn't look right that you come home at midnight when you said you'd be home at 6. I mean, it's a double-edged sword there, right? A little bit hypocritical, don't you think? After the chase, the effort stops. Your captured territory, he no longer feels the need to cultivate. Okay, so once he has you, it's like a totally different person. Could happen with the toxic women as well. To avoid a fight, he'll saddle a horse and ride into the steppe. That's the grasslands, by the way. For hours. He comes back expecting the issue to have evaporated. Well, it doesn't matter if you go get drunk and come back at midnight with that vodka, or go riding off into the grasslands of Mongolia. You're going to come home to the same problems, buddy. That's just the truth. The truth that a lot of toxic males don't want to listen to. What can I say? So, with that said, quite a little exotic with the good and bad. My final verdict is it's not all bad. My guess is it's probably a hybrid of the two. Maybe with time they start to get more toxic because they like that vodka. It's not just vodka, probably. It's probably other alcoholic drinks as well, beverages, but Doesn't matter. The point is, when alcohol is so strongly influenced, especially as next door neighbors to Russia, that's not a good sign. Because they're talking about using vodka in a good way. And then once it's in the culture, you're taking a major risk when you have the ups and downs. Well, the downs is when I'm very concerned about that vodka. Not being used to celebrate, but being used to cope. And to be evasive with your problems, as we just seen with the toxic traits. So my final verdict is, sure, you'd have to find the most modern Mongolian woman or man who doesn't like to drink vodka, who's health conscious. I don't know if it exists. They should. Not everybody likes alcohol. Doesn't matter how heavy it is in the culture. There's Russians who don't like it. There's Mongolians who don't like it. It's simple mathematics. The chances, right? And just like people assume that there's no more good people left in the world, that's incorrect. Because if you think you're a good person, well, then there's other good people. It's simple. It's just a law of life. It's a fact of life. So my final verdict. You know, if you want an adventure, an exotic adventure, have at it. Go give it a shot. They're a very strong culture. You saw that warrior spirit with all the good traits. That's a huge plus. No nonsense approach. Very passionate, but very direct. That's not everybody's cup of tea. But if you are a very direct and forward person, and you don't really have too much to talk about, and you just want to enjoy the moment, stare at the horizon, as they said, well then yeah, Mongolia is a beautiful land to explore. And I'll just leave it at that. Because it's going to be whatever you make it to be with your Mongolian partner. And maybe they're not even in Mongolia. Maybe they're in your neck of the woods. Who knows? That's my final verdict, ladies and gentlemen. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Also be sure to sign up for your free membership on my website. All kinds of free goodies. Best of luck on your quest for love. Much love, everybody.